What's up, everybody? It's Friday night. You know what that means, right? The Skeptical Help Bar is open. It has been a long week. Well, not really. It's 4-day week, right?
4 days, yeah.
All right, so I'm lying.
It felt longer than it was.
It felt like a long week. Let me tell you.
It was. This week went really fast. I can't believe it's Friday already.
What?
Yeah, it's like.
I think there's like a time dilation effect going on here between us.
Maybe.
Because I think the bullshit that I have to put up at work makes time slower. Anyway, so tonight we do have a guest. I'm excited. I'm very excited about this because it's all about education, and she's a teacher, and I'm so excited. I got to meet her in person a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, like 2 months ago in July for the first time, and it was great. We had great conversations. I'm so excited. But before we get to our guest, I have to put up the rules because, even though it's a bar, we need a few rules. So rule number 1 is that you are welcome to ask questions. So again, with the guest, we have the first hour. It's going to be me and the guest. We're going to be talking, having a conversation, and you guys are welcome to chat in the chat room because that's what the chat room is for. And if you want to, you can put questions. Look, I'm jumping to number 4 already. If you have a question, you can put a Q in front of it.
Well, you should probably make it number 2 since you're saying you're welcome to ask questions.
Yes, you are welcome to ask questions. And number 2, the rule number 2 is that I don't know everything, and my guest might not know everything, although she knows a lot more than I do. So I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer. We can look it up. We can get back to you. We'll get you an answer. Rule number 3 is that we go by the Patrick Swayze rule here. Be nice or Donna will boot your ass out of here. No, you can be in the chat room and you can debate, you can discuss, you can disagree. That's cool. But just don't devolve into like name calling and, just stupid comments. And, if the Russians come in with their porn links, Donna will be sure to boot them out quickly. Because that's when you're popular, when you get the hackers coming in. Rule number 4, of course, is if you have a question, please put a Q in front of it, and then Donna will be able to save it for the second half of the show. And then rule number 5 is my favorite, is drink up and enjoy.
Tonight, I just have lemonade tonight.
Donna's got some lemonade. Special lemonade.
Not really. Crystal Light lemonade.
Special. All right. Without any further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest because I am excited. Let me put the special guest frame up. And here we go. Hello, Bertha.
And a puppy.
And a puppy. Look at that.
Tends to sit with me here.
That's okay. I'm sure everyone's going to love it. So, Bertha, tell us a little bit about yourself. I did get to meet you. I first became aware of you in 2019. We attended the SHB out in Las Vegas, and you were one of the speakers on the big stage. And I was like, wow, I want to talk to her later because your talk about education, and you were talking about evolution, and like some of the really bad questions that kids didn't know the answer to really popped out, and I really want to talk to you. And I never got to until last July. I got to meet you in person up at CFI in Buffalo, and we got to talking, and it's been great. It's been great. So my first question to every guest is, what is your origin story? How did you get involved in this? And just tell us about you.
Okay. Hi. Thanks. Hello, everybody. How did I get involved in this? It was kind of almost by accident, I guess. I've been teaching. This is my 33rd year teaching. 32nd year teaching science. Awesome. And so I taught forever, and I guess I have to go back to the fact that I grew up I went to Catholic school for a very long time, and some of the answers weren't quite there. They didn't make sense to me. And I encountered Richard Dawkins' books, particularly The Selfish Gene. And I was about 18 when that happened. And it's almost like I had an empty page at that point because the answers I was getting at school weren't really working for me. And suddenly I had this scaffolding, this framework upon which to build my ideas. And after that, I started reading a lot of his books and really enjoyed them. I became a science teacher. I've always loved biology and traveling and ecology and stuff. And in 2014, so at that point, I'd been teaching over 20 years.
Wow.
I had the opportunity of meeting him, Richard Dawkins, and I told him I was a teacher and so forth. We connected about education because he's a teacher too, of course. And he said, would you like me to come to your school? Because I was offering professional development opportunities for teachers on evolution education on my own at that point, on a very small scale.
Okay.
Because I have to say, middle school teachers, that's what I've been teaching for the majority of my career, 11 to 14-year-olds. And middle school teachers are amazing. And a lot of them come from elementary school, and elementary school teachers are really amazing. But the thing is, I have to teach everything from weather to rocks to life cycles to everything. There's no way I can be an expert in all of them.
Right.
And one of them is, for a lot of teachers, it's evolution and biology. Now, that was my degree. But for example, put me in front of kids and tell me to teach the different types of rocks. And I really sometimes had no clue what I was talking about. And so he said, well, you're offering professional development on evolution and biology for teachers. Can I come and help you? Can I just come to your school and help you? And it kind of floored me once I got literally picked off the floor. He came 2 weeks later, and my school district, which is the 4th largest school district in the country, opened that day to invite science teachers from all over the school district. And we're talking, my school district has 20,000 school teachers.
Wow.
They could come from any school and join us in my school's auditorium and ask questions and talk science with Richard Dawkins. We kept the topic to science. And after it happened, he said, would you like to do this for me? I have an organization, the Richard Dawkins Foundation for Reason and Science, and would you like to run teacher workshops nationally for teachers on evolution education? My first response was, I'm just a teacher. I don't know how to do this. But then I thought, okay, I sat back and I thought, as a teacher, what do I want? What do I want from a workshop? What do I want from a professional development session? And there were a few things that really jumped out at me. And I if I can do this my way, yes, I will do this. And I was flying and building the airplane at the same time. But there were some things I really wanted. First of all the resources had to be free for the teachers. They had to meet state standards. They had to be really engaging and fun and hands-on. And I wanted it to be like, if you go to the TIES website, we have a ready-to-go evolution unit where they have everything in one place. You have what you start the class with, which is called like a bell ringer or an icebreaker. You have your content, you have your labs, you have your exams. It's all in one place. You download this, it's free, and you have all this up-to-date information. And we really focus on giving teachers content. So the first year we only had 10 workshops, and the first one was in Miami at the the Museum of Science in Miami. But the second year we had like 17, and then the following year it exploded. We had like 47. We have now had evolution workshops for teachers at every level, elementary, middle, and high school. We've had over 275 workshops since 2015 in every U.S. state. And I have had 80 different presenters.
Wow.
Yeah, because first I'm full-time classroom teacher still. So I can't be. I know.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because it's so amazing. And we always hear that teachers are the most underappreciated but overworked people. And just hearing that you're still a full-time teacher and you're doing this project that exploded. It's amazing. I love it.
Exploded because I think it was so needed.
Yes.
Because and my favorite workshops are the ones you go to the state conferences and the national conferences, and where you have a real go-getter teachers who want to learn a lot. I love the local workshops where you have the guys and girls who walk in, they sit in the back, they're on their cell phones, they are there because they have to be there. And I like to watch slowly, they start perking up and slowly they put their phones away, and slowly they start paying attention. And by the end of the workshop, they're like, wow, this is really good, because I make sure that it's pertinent. I make sure that, there's respect there. I'm giving them something that they need. And to be honest, there's a lot of teacher workshops, teacher PDs, professional developments that are insulting to a teacher,
Okay.
the stuff that they cover. And this is really worthwhile, engaging stuff. I also like the fact that, if you're in Idaho, your presenters from Idaho. Because I can go to Idaho and present, but I don't know what's going on in Idaho.
Right.
I'm a Miami-Dade, very urban South Florida teacher. So I like to get presenters in those states presenting to those teachers, because they could really relate. I also like that they're still all in the classroom.
Yes.
So that's how I came to this. And then last year, they wanted to expand the Department of Education and offered me to take over a couple more projects, which one is Science Saves. I'd love to talk about that one a little bit. And the other one is Young Skeptics. So those are starting to roll out at this point.
So I gotta say, I love your enthusiasm, your passion. And I feel it was nice. One of the things I like, and I guess I'm just reminiscing now, but at the work retreat that we were at up at CFI, it's not often that I get to hang out with a bunch of people that are so enthusiastic about their work like that. And it was just, I was blown away, and I love still seeing it. And I think that's the big part of this. That's why your project exploded, because you're not doing, and you mentioned it, like the people that come in the back of the classroom and they're on their phones because they have to be there. And that's right. They have to be there. But when I think when you see the passion in the presenter, when you see that, when you feel that passion from them, it's infectious. Like you get it. It's like, all right, this person is not just reading off a screen, because they have to. They're paid, to read whatever script they were given. This person is really into it, and this is awesome, and I see that. I see that when you were just explaining it, just seeing that your face light up. That was awesome.
I love science. I love science. Like just today, I taught a lot today. There's a lot of teaching. And in one class, I taught energy. And I said, well, where does your electricity come from? They don't know.
So on this show, energy, because I deal with a lot of paranormal topics, energy is a buzzword.
I meant energy as equal the ability to do work. Work is forced to exist.
So
you don't have to drink.
Our ongoing drink. Oh my God! Now I'm saying it. Our own ongoing joke is that when somebody uses the word energy in the wrong context, we have to drink.
Oh no, that's not happening tonight. This is
it's like you said it, and you actually gave the
power right here.
I love it.
The ability to do work or create change, work being force times distance. I mean, that's boom. But they don't know. They don't know where energy comes from. And so we talked about where electricity is from. And I play with them. I'm like, you are a bunch of ignorant little brats. And we mentioned everything we love about electricity, and the kids, obviously we all love our electricity. And they didn't know that it's spinning a copper wire around the magnet. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. So I handed out handheld generators. They're called Genacons, and all the kids are spinning these little handheld generators, and we talk about Michael Faraday and all that stuff. And I said, you go home and you tell your parents that you just learned where electricity comes from. Now, how do we get the copper wire magnet thingy to spin? And I tell them that there's hamsters in the wall on a little wheel. And the hamsters are spinning. Of course, they don't believe me. So I say no, and I show them Port Everglades, which is our power plant. I say there's giant hamsters on giant wheels. And then eventually you get to the fact that we burn fossil fuels, boil water, produce steam, and the steam turns the turbine. And then they click like, oh, that's what wind does. And if you do that kind of enthusiasm,
right,
you know what I mean? It sticks. And that's the type of stuff we do with the TIE stuff. It's fun. It's engaging. In my other class today, we did mass. Density is mass divided by volume. But then I'm sorry if this is boring. Is this okay?
I love this. This is great.
So I mentioned that the density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cubed, right? So then I make them get the density of a bunch of different blocks. And some are less than 1 and some are greater than 1. And I said, okay, which is going to float in water and which is going to sink? Well, should we go get water? No. Don't mess up my class. Water's just look at the numbers. And they got it. They all got it. If it's less than 1, it's going to float. If it's greater than 1, it's going to sink. And then I bring out the water and I have them all throw the little cubes in there. And the ones that are less than 1, and I said, see, small picture. Today you learned about density, mass, volume, using a scale, using a graduated cylinder, using a ruler. Big picture. Science is the best way of making predictions and understanding the world around us.
Amen.
That, and I am slowly indoctrinating them, and they don't even realize it. Like it is the best. Like you could tell me what's going to float or sink without actually doing it, but then I could give you some water, and you could do it.
Right.
And you could see the evidence; it's observable right in front of you, and they can repeat it, and they can repeat it, and they can repeat it. And it's the best way of figuring stuff out and making predictions about the world around us.
Wow.
And I'm exhausted. I did that 4 times, those 2 different lessons today.
Wow. And here you are doing it again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, when I step back, this is my last year. I'm retiring in June. And so I think today I was like, wow, that's the last time I throw cubes in water. And it's a little scary to not be teaching anymore by the end of the year. But I'm doing this full time. So this is going to be fun.
So you're going to transition from teaching full time to working at CFI, right?
Yes. I never have to see 2 kids pretending to be Jedi Knights with rulers, lightsabers ever again.
Hey!
I
have my lightsabers.
I know. Oh, it's a Kylo Ren lightsaber. No, it's not.
Darth Maul.
It's Darth Maul. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it's late.
It's late.
It's okay. Yoda forgives you. It's okay. All right. So, wow, this has been so much fun so far. I love this. I love talking science. So ties. Get into that a little bit more. What? This is your main project, right?
It is. It's starting to hum along, like running on its own.
Okay.
But I have, upcoming tieseducation.org. There's 12 on the calendar this year coming up, and I'm not presenting in any of them. So my job is to connect with the presenters. I meet with each one of them on Zoom. We send them the materials. I have a great partner. His name's Kenny Coogan, who sends them the materials and stuff like that. So it's just making sure that the presenters are ready. And it's everywhere from Hawaii. There's one in Pennsylvania. I mean, they're all over the place. And then we have a full day event at the Birmingham Zoo in Alabama on November 4th. And I'm currently with Kenny. Kenny's doing the heavy lifting on that one, trying to get a Darwin Day event, a full day event in Tampa. And again, the best events are the ones where we're collaborating with the school districts, the local school districts, and a museum or a university and things like that. Okay. So that's, but ties is kind of, I know where I'm going now with that. It's easier to manage. The other 2 is where I'm learning and figuring things out.
Now there's always going to be a learning curve, and you probably did that with ties. You tried figuring out where to go, how to go about it. I mean, that's always, whenever I start a project, that's always like, all right, where is this going to go? And it usually never goes exactly where I thought it was. Totally. Yeah. Either crashes.
Cool. Last December, we published a book with the 16 ties presenters. I love the book. It's called On Teaching Evolution. And it's for sale on the ties page, tieseducation.org. And these 16 teachers, they're from all over the country, east, west, middle school, high school, rural, urban, central. And it's, why did you become a teacher? What do you love about evolution education? And then they go into advice. Like, if you could only do one lesson on evolution, what would it be? What's the most common misconception? How do you address it? What's your favorite book on evolution? Your favorite video? And then everything they say is linked for free every resource. So every teacher names at least 4 resources, and it's all free. And in the hard copy of the book, there are QR codes, and in the ebook, there are links that open automatically on the TIES page, and you could download it.
So I just put the link for the book in the chat room. So if anyone's interested, feel free, order it. So, I mean, you gave me a question there. So what is your most common misconception about evolution? What's yours?
It's just a theory. If I had $1 for that one, I would be somewhere in Italy drinking very expensive olive oil on my and wine too. But and that's such an excusable one, right? Because the word theory, it's kind of like the word organic. It means 2 different things. In the grocery store, organic means, you know, pesticide free and 50 cents more on every product.
Yeah.
In chemistry class, it's got carbon in it. That's what organic means. So I tell my kids to be smart asses and go to when they go to shopping at the grocery store with their parents, and their parents says, "Bring me the organic milk." I say, "Bring them any milk, any milk." When they say, "But I told you to bring the organic milk," you say, "Everything's organic. It's got carbon in it. You know, organic chemistry."
Nice.
Oh, I'm going to use that.
But so the word theory, like watch any cop show, and it's the theory that the guy came in through the window, robbed the house, and went out through the door. Even scientists use that word like a hypothesis sometimes.
Right.
So when you explain to people, it means a broad explanation for something that happens in nature. The fact that the sun is the center of the solar system is a heliocentric theory. I ask people, do you want the doctor to wash your hand? Do you want your doctor to wash their hands before they operate on you? Oh, well, of course. Why? It's just a theory, right? It's a theory of disease.
Right.
So getting kids to understand that word has more than one meaning, I'd say that's the biggest misconception. The second one that drives me batty, if I invite people right now, you're on a computer, Google evolution, and you get that ladder of progress thing. You get the chimp, and then you get like a Lucy, you know, an Australopithecus, and then you get the Homo habilis dude, and then eventually you get to the human. That is wrong. And that causes a lot of problems. That's the I didn't evolve from monkeys crowd. You know, and no, you did not evolve from monkeys. So then I put my family tree on the board and I go, okay, here's me, here's my cousin Danny. I did not come from my cousin Danny. We evolved from a common ancestor, our grandfather Danielle or my grandmother Bertha, because there's no imagination in my family and everybody's name my cousin's named Daniel and my grandfather's named Daniel. But you know, that common ancestry thing, the fact it's a tree, not a ladder, right. That's another really big one. Really hard one to get people to understand.
All right. Let's move on to Young Skeptics. What is this? What is Young Skeptics? Aspire to be less wrong. Yes.
This is a project that's been going on for Center for Inquiry for a really, really long time. And I took it over last November-ish, November, December, and I had to learn a lot. I had no idea how much background there was. Okay. So I like Melanie Tresick King. She's a professor at Massasoit College. And
she's been on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, she's terrific. And she's calling it like if you can inoculate people against misconceptions, hoaxes, etc., get them thinking a certain way before they encounter the vaccine hoax or the moon landing hoax or whatever it is you're talking about, they're more likely to think twice before accepting it. So Young Skeptics is, as it says, it's aimed at young people to kind of help them think skeptically.
Is this kind of like an introduction to critical thinking?
Yeah. Okay. That's what it is. So can we talk about our lesson, Kenny, that we're building together, the ghost lesson?
If you want to, yes. I mean, I'm good with it. Yeah. Let's talk.
So we're thinking like one of the it's that website is www.centerforinquiry.org. So it's our Center for Inquiry in email. I mean website /Young Skeptics.
There we go.
There's a few others out there that are not us. So one of the things is teaching kids to look at sources. And is it a credible source? Is it not a credible source? So you're going to see that one on there, for example. Okay. There's one on thinking about GMOs and how they're actually not bad for you and dangerous and they don't cause cancer and everything else. There's a really nice one that I just put up now with in collaboration with One Humanity Education. And it's super simple, like optical illusions and how to approach a problem and how to see how other people perhaps may approach a problem and how do you solve the disagreements.
Okay.
That one's up there now. And, well, Kenny being a ghost
paranormal investigator, kind of whatever. I don't know, but I still don't know what I'm called. I'm a skeptical guy. That's it. But yeah, I do the paranormal stuff. So ghosts and demons and poltergeists and a little bit of UFOs and Bigfoot and stuff like that.
So we think that would be a really fun thing for kids. That's something they're going to be interested in. So we've teamed up, Kenny and I have teamed up with a language arts teacher who's putting together a lesson on haunted houses. And she's using Kenny's material to teach kids how to approach an issue like this. If the house is supposedly haunted, what kinds of questions would you ask? What kind of equipment would you use? And that kind of thing. Yeah. So hopefully that'll be up and running by the end of the month.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be able to, the plan is still, I'll zoom in to a classroom.
Yes.
And zoom in. Woo, but yeah, and talk to the kids for a little bit. Let them ask questions and what have you. I love doing that. I had an opportunity at one of the SHICons. Susan Gerbic set it up where we went into one of the schools that's in Vegas, and I was able to do. I think I did 2 classes and just talked about the what I do, how to investigate, and some of the science that's used to investigate haunted claims or paranormal claims. And the kids were so into it, and they loved it. And it just got me excited because, I mean, I was enthusiastic about it, and seeing their faces and how into it they were, like, I was like, yeah, this is great. I want to do this more. So you presented the opportunity to do this more. So I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, when I'm trying to work out like the evolution stuff, teachers have to teach that. So I'm actually doing them a favor. I'm saying, here, I've already completed everything. Here's your exam. Here's your labs. Here's your videos. Here's your blah, blah, blah. Take it. Right. The young skeptic stuff, what we have to figure out is how it fits in the scope and sequence, the curriculum that a teacher has to cover throughout the course of a year. Because they're not going to do anything extra. Their plates are full. So the trick, what we have to do is figure out how it fits in the curriculum of a teacher. And what I'm finding is the best place to fit it is like gifted classes and things like that, where the teachers have a little bit more freedom to explore curriculum. It can also neatly fit, and that's why I hooked up with a language arts teacher, because they have to teach citing sources. They have to teach writing paragraphs, and then you could write a paragraph about anything. It could be about ghost stories and have them write a ghost story. So you have to teach creative writing. Once they know, they can use it to write their creative story. So it fits. I mean, I have to teach critical thinking and scientific method and stuff, but I think I have a narrower path as a science teacher. A language arts teacher can have more freedom. So that's why I'm exploring tapping into other teacher friends and getting them involved.
I'm so excited. Can't wait. All right. So I did post the link to Young Skeptics in the chat room. I see there's what is the crepe test? Crap. It is crap.
Yeah, that's coming from a university, and it's basically so you're looking at a source. Is it credible? And the lesson we created, we put some fake news, and the kids have to determine if it's real or if it's fake using the crap test. So there's a terrific site. It's created by a teacher. It's Save the Endangered Pacific Tree Octopus. And I came upon that because I love teaching phylogenetics and classification of living things in biology. It's one of my favorite parts of the year. And I gave each kid like a different group of animals or plants, living things, bacteria, whatever. And this one young lady was doing mollusks. And they had to name if there was an endangered member of their group or class, order, different things. And she puts up there, yes, there's an endangered Pacific tree octopus. This is a really smart kid too. And I think your first reaction every time you hear something is to think it's true, right? And then you start to go, no, wait a second. Right? So the moon is made of cheese and you picture the cheese moon and then suddenly you go, no, wait a second. But our first reaction is to accept, which is probably a problem.
Yeah.
And so my first reaction was like, really? What? And then I said, no way. There's no way. And then we looked it up, and it was purposely created by a teacher to show kids you can't believe everything you see online.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. I love that.
And then we put like health from a credible peer-reviewed site and health from a popular magazine. And the kids slowly have to go through and determine, is this a credible source? If this is not a credible source. And that is something language arts teachers have to teach anyway.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's the crap test. But I did not come up with the crap test. I just created a lesson around it.
Okay. That's fair enough. All right. So let's get to another of your projects, Science Saves. And this is actually something that stood out to me because during your presentation, the last time I saw you, you were showing videos, you were talking about it. And I was like, wow, this is great. And I actually wrote in my notes about, I needed to talk to you about this because this is really interesting. So tell us about Science Saves.
Todd Steifel is from the Free Thought Foundation. He's founder of the Free Thought Foundation and the major driver of Science Saves. And it's just awesome. It's just promoting appreciation for science and what science has done for humanity. That's it.
Simple.
So they're trying to promote that. I'm involved with the education part of this. I'm not the only person involved with the project. There's some wonderful people doing great things on another level. So for example, March 26th, oh my God, I'm going to get that wrong. Is it March 26th? Is the day that Jonas Salk announced the polio vaccine.
Okay.
Back in the 50s, 1955. And so they're trying to make that National Science Appreciation Day. And they had a number of states this year adopt proclamations claiming that, this day is National Science Appreciation Day. Okay. They're doing different campaigns like that. And I think we lose sight of that in society today, being children of the 20th and 21st centuries. We lose sight about how amazing what science has done. Just a computer that we're sitting on.
Right.
Sitting in front of. So
you and I are talking in real time, and we're hundreds and hundreds of miles apart.
Yeah.
So
just
science is awesome.
And this is clean water.
Yes.
Just that,
This is clean rum. Tea.
One of the reasons was because there was no clean water.
There's water in this. It was ice.
Safer to drink that 300 years ago.
Yes.
This,
Yeah.
So my job in Science Saves is to promote the educational side of it. So I got together with some teachers last summer and we created lessons for language arts, math, science, elementary school. For example, we have a graph, and the graphs, this is legitimate data, going from 1800 to 2020, number of kids under the age of 5 who die every year from 1800 to 2020. And in the year 1800, close to 50% of children died before their 5th birthday.
Wow.
And in 2020, the number is way below 1.
Is that on the site?
Yeah. Go ahead and check the math one because that's the fastest way to find it. Under math, I think it's the only one. Finding slope. So
okay.
The math teacher they have to teach algebra, 8th grade math. You have to teach how to calculate slope on a line graph. Why not use a graph that's showing something so tremendously important as the mortality rates of children under the age of 5 the last 220 years? You got to do it anyway.
Right.
Might as well do it with something like that. The science lesson, they are learning the difference between causation and correlation using the same graph. And then we talk about why. Why does this number go down so drastically? Washing of hands, vaccines, and things like that. You could see the slope gets steeper in the 60s when the MMR vaccine is introduced and things like that. So that's an example of some lessons. We're highlighting people of lots of diversity. Mario Molina is a guy who figured out there was a hole in the ozone layer, and the tremendous political effort at the time to correct that problem. We have Alice Ball. She's an African-American chemist who cured leprosy. She found the cure for leprosy. Awesome. So it's celebrating people of science. At the first day of school every year, I have kids draw a scientist. And they always draw old guy, crazy hair, lab coat, chemicals by a table. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And by the end of the year, I asked them to draw me a scientist again. And first they're drawing themselves. But secondly, they're drawing, a paleontologist, a marine biologist, a food chemist, somebody coming up with better materials for a skateboard. I don't know, anything. And so we want to work on changing that image of what people see when they think of science,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna share that. I had that graphic on screen here. Let me see here.
Oh, there it is. So that's the math one.
Okay.
And they're calculating the slope on another slide. They're calculating the slope of those different lines, and they're seeing, that's the math guy, the math lesson. That's just amazing. Okay. And then every lesson will come with its lesson plan and its student worksheets.
Wow.
Its rubric and all of that stuff.
Hey, no.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I love this.
And then I think the videos you were talking about last year, one of our goals was to reach out to more young people. And so Todd is so generous and so awesome. And we put it together. He put the money down for $15,000 for a scholarship for high school seniors. And we're having it again this year. In 30 seconds or less in a video, explain how science has improved your life or the life of someone you know.
Wow.
And first year, we got over 200 entries.
Wow.
And the first place winner, he won $10,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I got to meet the second and third place winners because they actually were local here in Miami.
Oh, cool.
And all these kids got scholarship money for college.
So
we're hoping for more this year.
Can I play one of the videos?
Oh, yeah.
Would that be all right?
I would love that. If we could play more than one, that would be awesome.
We can play them. Let's get this up here. Let's get this up.
So the cowboy, he's our first place winner.
All right. So let me make sure. Oh, hold on a second. I got to do this again because I messed up the first time. Share system audio. There we go. So that people can hear it. All right. Here we go.
After a soccer practice, anaphylactic shock struck. And just before she blacked out, liquid Benadryl reopened my sister's throat. I have George Revachel's study of chemistry and invention of Benadryl to thank for saving my sister's life. Medical science has come a long way from its humble and rather odd beginnings. Every day now, we see the improvements it has brought into our lives. It deserves our support. It saved my sister's life.
That one's great. Show that second one. I got to meet this young lady. I love how she starts it. Watch this.
That's
I
cool.
love that one. Now I want to show you a really different one. If you scroll down, I want to show you the variety that we got. Okay, the one with the lady and the microscope. Andrew from Peachtree.
This one?
No.
Oh.
Above the
here.
kayak. That one. Yep. This one is so different.
Wow.
I love that one because it doesn't have to be a life-saving thing.
Right.
I mean, at the end there, she might have had her life saved, but it's the food in your fridge and your medicine and your alarm clock and your cell phone, and it's a million things.
It's everything.
I
Yeah.
love that one. I love
That's
that
really
one.
good. Any more you want to play?
They're all awesome. Kawasaki's cute. She just drew. I met that young lady too.
Okay.
Science saves because it saved me. When I was 5 years old, I was diagnosed with a rare illness called Kawasaki disease, and it leads to the swelling of blood vessels. No one knows what causes Kawasaki disease, but what is known is that it's a leading factor of heart disease in children. I was given an IV, gamma globulin, that helped reduce the swelling and inflammation in my blood vessels. Because of science, my condition did not worsen, and I was able to stay with a healthy heart.
So as you can see, they're very, very different takes on,
Right.
on science. We got a lot of very different ones.
So this is amazing because I like the creativity that goes on here. I love that it's so I have a problem with talking a lot. So I talk a lot. When I'm asked to do short videos, it's usually like 40 minutes long. I can't do short, sweet. I can't do it. But seeing these kids being able to tell an entire story in 30 seconds.
Yes.
And the creativity of that. It's amazing.
I got that from my students. Before, we wanted to make them a little longer. And my 8th grader said, Ms. V, if it's longer than 30 seconds, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
This is that generation too, the TikTok, swipe, swipe, swipe.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to lose them. You're going to lose them if it's not quick.
Right.
And I think it worked.
It did. It did. I mean, these videos are really cool. I love looking through them and just seeing. I mean, I'd love to go through all of them, like everyone that was submitted, just to see what people came up with and how they brought their story to life again in 30 seconds. I mean, it's just amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
How do you need to get to that point? Get your point across in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs. Science rules. Boom. Now that
there's a good. We got 80 extremely worthy ones. 80 out of 200.
Wow.
The other 100 plus were kids sitting in front of a computer like we are right now, telling their story.
Okay.
Which is fine, but we got 80 plus with pictures and movement and music and some creativity.
Yeah. That I love that. So you're doing this again, and this is let's see. I'm looking at the website now. So you're taking you have a deadline of May 8th, 2023.
Yeah, which is a week after they have to decide on their colleges, because it is a college scholarship.
College-bound high school senior class of 2023, entered to win $10,000. So I'm going to post the link in the chat room again if anyone is interested. I mean, this is a great opportunity. You have plenty of time to start thinking about it and to get it down to 30 seconds, which I will never do. Actually, I think I'm going to make that a challenge.
I think you should make.
I'm going to make that a challenge for myself to see if I can do a video that gets my point across in 30 seconds.
The kids, when I spoke to them, they said it was hard. Because I called a lot of them on the phone to congratulate them and everything. There's an image contest as well. if you're not a talker, if you go to the front page of Science Saves, I cringed when I started working with them because it's that science picture with the chemicals blowing up stuff with the crazy hair.
I love this picture. Hold on. I'm sharing it.
No, I hate that picture.
That's getting away from her point, though.
I know, but it's funny. Like it popped up and I started laughing. Like the girl's face is beautiful.
All right,
I'm sorry.
I feel like I'm back with my 7th graders.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I do.
So we're offering the opportunity, and again, there's money involved, to change that picture, to be the new image of Science Saves.
Nice.
Ooh.
And it's middle schoolers, high schoolers, and college is open to those 3. And it's due in January. We're working on launching that. But if you keep an eye on the website, if everybody keeps an eye, bookmarks it, we have a Twitter account, Science Saves. We will launch that formally soon.
Do you have any other projects in the works? Anything that we can talk about?
Those 3, we got, Ties, Science Saves, and Young Skeptics. That's good enough. That's good.
That's a lot.
Maybe after next June.
Are you going to be at SHB
Yes.
this year? Yes. Are you speaking again? Yes.
No.
No.
Not this year.
Okay.
Not this year. I wasn't invited to speak, but I want to take my son's turning 18 next week.
Okay.
And he's a huge Neil deGrasse Tyson fan.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want him in that environment, like you said about going to Buffalo and being among these people, and they're so enthusiastic and they love what they do. I want him to go and feel that. Oh no, feel that energy.
Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, so we've gone through all the projects that you do or that you're working on, which is like a mountain of work. What kind of advice? What would you?
My husband.
Oh, no. I'm waiting for my dog to start barking. What kind of tips would you give people to start building their critical thinking skills? Like, what can we do to improve ourselves and maybe help others? What kind of advice do you have?
I would start with this shirt for sure.
There you go.
Because youth, I tell the kids, the first tip I would say is there's no way that 100% of what you think is true is true. There's no way. 4 weeks ago, I read an article in The Atlantic by Ed Young. He's this awesome science writer, science communicator. And in his article, there were 3 things that I was wrong about. And I've been teaching science for 32 years, and I start with myself. Woodpeckers do not have like shock absorbing systems in their head. Because if they did, they wouldn't break through the wood. Think about it. Their head would absorb the energy, and that is the correct way of using that word. And the tree would not. There would be no hole in the tree.
Right.
So they just actually have really, really hard heads.
Wow.
So does Kenny.
Okay. Number 2. I thought, and over again, you hear that the Komodo dragon, the bite kills you not because there's venom, but because there's so much nasty bacteria in there that you die from sepsis, right? No, they do have venom.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And the third one is, have you ever heard of the honey badger honey guide? There's even children's books about this. So honey badgers are these badass.
Those I know about, yeah.
Oh man, they're so cool. And there's a very nondescript bird. It looks kind of like a brown mockingbird that supposedly has excellent eyesight, and they both like honey. So the honey guide finds himself or herself a honey badger and guides the almost blind honey badger to the beehive. The honey badger don't care. He rips the beehive, gets stung by bees, whatever, and they both get honey. Not true. No one has ever seen a honey guide a honey badger to a beehive. I've been teaching this as co-evolution in my classrooms. Do you understand? So I always start with that. You're wrong. you're wrong about so many things. I was wrong in 3 times in one article, and
Wow.
that's okay. That's okay. This summer, I was invited to speak on a radio show. And boy, it was great when we were making fun of, Marjorie Taylor Greene and shooting other fish in a barrel. It's so easy to make fun. And we hit GMOs. And it was a gardening show. There were some gardening hosts. Things took a turn. When I suddenly made them question their beliefs. We thank goodness for GMO'd insulin and GMO'd growth hormone and corn. There's no such thing as natural, like wild corn, or wild broccoli. It doesn't exist. It's humans that have genetically changed this crop over thousands of years in some cases. And once you run into their own belief systems, it was a different show. Got a little serious.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
I'm gonna have to listen to that.
So that's the first thing. Start with thinking that you could be wrong about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on that note, with that radio show, have you ever come across maybe not necessarily a heckler, but when you're doing one of your workshops, someone's like, "No, I disagree. That's wrong." Can you give us an example and then tell us like what did you do?
The worst one was in Columbus, Ohio. I was doing an in-person workshop there. There were 45 people in the room. And I said, okay, here's the great stuff. Here's your resources. Here's whatever. I'm going to show you some of the went through my stuff.
Right.
And this guy stands up. He goes, yes, but there's no mention of Satan in that slideshow and in your presentation. And I was, why would I have
What was your presentation about?
evolution?
Oh, okay.
I was kind of confused. Why would I have Satan in there? And he started questioning, what about intelligent design, which I could talk about at length. And, what does the Bible say about evolution? And what about microevolution versus macroevolution, which is terms I had to learn. As a regular biology teacher, you don't learn these terms. Those are creationist terms, Yeah. The funny thing is, another guy stood up and said, listen, if you want to bother her about this, we'll go outside and we'll have a discussion. But you're not going to do this to her in here. You're not going to change the environment, the temperature in the room. And that guy was a pastor.
Wow.
Oh.
That guy was a pastor who taught biology the right way.
Okay.
And took that guy out. He was, come on, let's leave. And he took that guy out of the room.
That's awesome.
For me. Yeah.
I like when we get help from an unexpected source. One of my experiences, I had a booth set up at a paranormal conference. So I set up a skeptical help booth. And I had a line of people asking questions, and it was one of those where they're like, well, what do you think about this? And I started to explain, excuse me. And they would cut me off and say, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Moving the goalpost or not letting me explain. And a gentleman walked up from the side and he started saying, look, you need to listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for a long time. He knows, he backs up everything he says. Blah, just went off. And I'm sitting there like, I have no idea who this guy is. No idea. And after it was all said and done, he turned and introduced himself. And he's like, yeah, I'm a police officer, but I'm also a psychic. And I do like your stuff. Even though I don't agree with it all the time, I do like what you have to say. So I really like your stuff and they need to listen to you. I was like, wow, I did not expect that from someone that was a psychic. It's so nice. It's so nice when that kind of thing happens. All right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Continue.
Well, it turns out that I didn't know this, but this gentleman and groups, they're in a group and they go from evolution workshop to evolution workshop and they confront the presenters. And the guy who stood up and said, hey, I know you get out, let's discuss it outside. He saw it coming.
Okay.
Being from Florida, I didn't know that this was a thing in Ohio, in that area, that people were doing this.
Wow. So they just ambush people.
Yeah. And I ran into the pastor the next day And I said, oh gosh, thanks. That was so nice. And he's the one who explained it to me. Yeah, that's what they do. They make a living out of going around and bothering presenters. But
Wow.
because I said to the guy, I remember saying to him, well, later we can go and discuss these things over a beer or a cup of coffee, but I don't think we need to discuss Satan in the same sentence as natural selection,
Right.
But
so we got about 5 minutes before we go to our pee break. So what's your take on intelligent design? And this is not an ambush, like your quick 5 minute look at you, you're like, oh boy, this is a can of worms.
How do I put that in 5 minutes? So I think it's Dawkins who says argument from personal incredulity. So because I don't think it could possibly happen, or I haven't figured out how it could happen, then it must be intelligent design.
Right. Okay.
So the famous example was the mousetrap. If the mousetrap were like a living thing, it can't work unless all the parts are there. And the idea of evolution is that this slowly evolves over time. You don't just get a complete mousetrap.
Right.
And there's this great biologist. He's at Brown University, and one of the authors of the most popular biology high school book called, his name's Kenneth Miller. And much to the horror of Michael Behe, who is Mr. Intelligent Design, he took the mousetrap in front of him and he made it a tie clip. He made it a keychain. He took pieces off and showed how it can still work with pieces missing. So just because you don't think a mousetrap can work without its parts, it doesn't mean it can't. And it could also serve other functions. Right. And so the idea of intelligent design is this couldn't work unless all the parts were there is not true. And there's two that they push a lot. And one of them is the wheel that makes the flagella on the bacteria allows the flagella to move. The bacteria moves because it has a flagella, and it's a pretty complicated little protein complex. And it can work with pieces missing. And the other one is the immune response can work with different proteins missing along the way. Okay. So it's just, I can't believe this could happen, therefore must have come intelligently designed. That's like a real quick. Kenneth Miller does it way better than I do. Look him up on Intelligent Design Kenneth Miller and have him do his mousetrap tie clip thing. He's brilliant.
All right, I'm gonna look that up. All right, so we're pretty much there. We're gonna go to our break, and this is the chance. Everyone that's watching, if you have questions, remember put a Q in front of it, and I'll go through. We'll start them off, and the second hour after our break, we're gonna come back, and you guys are gonna ask questions to Bertha. You're gonna pick her brain, see what comes out. So have at it. Put your questions in the chat room, and we will see you in about 3 minutes. Let me get the video set up here. So we have about 3 minutes from right about now.
Do satanic cults lurk in the shadows? Can memories of satanic ritual abuse be repressed? Do exorcisms really drive out demons? And are those demons always possessing Zach Baggins? I'm JD Sword, the Satanic Skeptic. Join me on The Devil in the Details as I examine these questions and more, bringing a skeptical and satanic perspective to the paranormal. The Devil in the Details, available on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and more.
Shetham for us. Shetham for us. Hail Satan. Hail
Satan. Are you tortured by what you see and hear about the paranormal field? Join us as we critically examine and question paranormal claims, science, ghosts, demons, cryptids, UFOs, ghost hunting technology, and much more are all on the table for discussion. 3 Tortured Souls is a video podcast that streams live on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 Pacific. 3 Tortured Souls.
All right, we are back. Oh, you got your water bottle? You're nice. All right, so we got some questions, and let's see.
People are with us.
How many people are with us? We're hovering between like 20 and 30. 20 and 30 people watching between Facebook and YouTube. So let me see here. All right. So first question we got, actually, before I get to their questions, have you ever had any parents get pissed off at what you're teaching in school? Like,
Yes.
how does that go?
And mind you, I'm in where I am, this isn't going to happen very often. Some of the stories I've heard from teachers are really bad. It was during a parent night a few years back, and I talked about what I'm teaching in biology, and the parents like, well, I don't believe in that, and I don't want my son to hear that, and this and that. Some of the other parents who'd never heard there was even a controversy were,
sorry, Bob. I didn't mean to.
I just told her we would meet later. I didn't want to fight her in parent night in front of all the parents, or not fight her, but talk to her.
Right.
And then made it my personal goal to damage her child before the end of the year. In her mind, damage, but in my mind, correct him.
Correct
and
him.
I think I did. But
right.
I know of other teachers that the parents take their kids out of her class if she covers evolution. I know one teacher who had a hiking club, and she picked Florida and Georgia, southern Georgia. We were underwater 150,000 years ago. So I can be walking outside. I'm about 2 miles from the beach here. And I find shells, fossilized shells from a million years ago. Well, 150 years, 50,000 years ago. And she did that. She was with the hiking club. She goes, oh my God, look, it's a shell. We were underwater. They canceled her hiking club because she mentioned that this happened 150,000 years ago, which is not possible if the world is only 7,000 years old.
Oh man. Wow.
I've had other teachers tell me the teacher across the hall will ask them for a list of their kids so they can pray for them. Other teachers who've had their kids taken out of their class for homeschooling. Another teacher started teaching this, and every kid put a Bible on the desk. I had a student who faced the wall, the entire unit, evolution unit, and asked me like, okay, what's my grade if I don't do any of these assignments? Do I still have a B? He had pretty good grades. So if I get an F on the next 3 assignments because I refuse to do them, what's my grade?
Wow.
I go, I don't know. Pull out a calculator. You figure it out. I'm not aiding and abetting this behavior.
Wow. That's I have so much respect for you putting up with that, because I don't know how. I couldn't.
It's worse now. I'm in Florida, and things are tough right now. Not so much even evolution. This is something we've always been dealing with. But there was a guy who had some famous African Americans on the wall, and they asked him to take it down. This is a few counties north of me, because you're promoting conflict in your classroom by having Martin Luther King, for God's sakes, and he quit. That teacher quit.
Wow, that's all right. Now I'm getting pissed off because it's just so ridiculous.
That's right.
I know. I give you credit because you can, I guess, tolerate a lot of it, and I hear it and I just get I want to punch someone.
I remember I told Richard Dawkins one of those stories, and he's like, "Kick them out of your room." I'm like, no, I'm a teacher. I'm going to kill that kid with kindness. I'm going to become his favorite teacher. I've had kids write letters of apology years later. Like, I'm so sorry. That summer I went to like these crazy summer camps, and they put all these ideas in my head, and you were so kind to me. Wow, and Kenneth Miller, the guy I mentioned, he has a wonderful book called Finding Darwin's God. He's a religious man. So when I encountered a child like that, I said, listen, if you're going to take that stance, that's fantastic, but listen to people who actually know what they're talking about. So I buy them Kenneth Miller's book, and I put them in touch with Kenneth Miller. So listen to him. He's a biology professor, and he's a religious man, and I'm not religious, but knows way more about biology than I do. And so I approach it that way. I said, you can't just listen to anybody online. Listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. And that's a great book for someone who's on the religious side and on the fence about evolution, because he's smart. And Francis Collins is another one. He was the head of the Human Genome Project. And his book is called, I believe, The Language of Science and God. And he's addressing more like the evangelical crowd, because he's an evangelical. Kenneth Miller's addressing more the moderate religious crowd. And they're both wonderful men and wonderful books.
All right. I like your approach there. I mean, I get frustrated because it's something that I don't have too much interaction with. So it frustrates me. And I'm also not actually in front of people, except on screen. But I do take that approach when I deal with the people that I deal with, when I interact with people and they have their various beliefs. They believing in demon possession and UFOs and Bigfoot's like an interdimensional being from some other universe, but killing them with kindness, that's what you have to do. Be nice. That's our philosophy here. Be nice. Yeah. And listen to them, talk to them, listen to them, have a listen, and then talk like this. This is a conversation. We're having a conversation and see where it leads. And if you still butt heads and you can't agree on stuff, then you know what? Change the subject. Have a couple beers, change the subject, talk about something else.
Yeah.
It's okay to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But you still have to take my test.
All right, let's get to some of the questions here. First question is, Bob, have you ever had pushback from very religious students, and how did you handle that? Oh, this is the question that I stole.
Yeah.
And did their parents get involved, and how did you handle that? Sorry, Bob, I totally stole your question there.
It's funny, that really very, 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 very religious boy, I had a sister a few years later, and I was prepared, I was bracing for my extra kindness. And she was totally fine. And I was like, Amanda. And she was, oh my God, he's so embarrassed about that. As a matter of fact, he's going to write you a letter. And then I got the letter.
Okay. All right. Good. You got another question?
Oh, yeah.
Because I stole Bob's question by accident, and then he yelled at me. Robert's got a question. Oh, for me, my 100th show is next week. Anything special? I have no idea. Maybe there might be something, but I can't say anything yet at all. I can tell Bertha after the show, but I can't tell any of you because it's not. I just can't. I'm going to leave it at that. But we might have a special announcement. Well, I don't know. All right, next question before I say too much. All right, Bob, again. Awesome, Bob. Thanks for the questions. How would you address scientists who are also religious leaders who refer to the Bible or over proven science to prove their scientific point, in quotes?
I wouldn't call them scientists to begin with.
I guess I the only thing that I can relate to that, or not relate, but that comes to mind is when you have like Ken Ham has a habit of promoting like his scientists that come on and I guess give you some kind of science babble that proves what they're trying to say. I mean, I've been to the Creation Museum.
You've been there in Kentucky?
Oh,
yeah, we were there. That was
almost walked.
That was trippy. Because we walked through and reading the signs, reading the information plaques. I mean, right away, I was like, no, that's wrong. That's completely wrong. And we were going through until we actually had one of the guards start following us because I think I was too loud when I was saying that, and then I was like, all right, now I got to be quiet because I don't want to get thrown out. I want to go through the whole thing. But yeah, there was so much that was just wrong and like blatantly wrong. And they're teaching these kids.
As you're walking through too, they have there's stuff being played. Audio.
Recordings.
It's like a recording.
Audio recordings.
I almost felt like I was being brainwashed because they kept saying the same things over again and over again. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's a horrible place. It really is. I mean,
are they going bankrupt or something? I think they're not doing it well.
I think so because when they built the Ark, they had a lot of funding, government state funding, and they were supposed to pay back a lot of money, and they're not doing it because they're not getting anywhere near the numbers they thought they were getting or going to get.
I understand they have a leak as well, which I think is poetic justice.
That's
it's
so
funny. But this question's a tough one because it is. I know he put in quote scientific points. It's science. You have to. It's repeatable. It's verifiable. In the Bible, there's so much in there that's not verifiable. So it doesn't fall under the realm of science and the science class. So I wouldn't even know. I definitely don't agree with like Bill Nye. I don't think you should debate those guys because in a debate I can say anything and you're not ready for it.
Right.
I can say, there's a invisible pink unicorn living behind my couch and there's nothing you can do. At least on paper, you can ask for sources. There's a little bit more opportunity there to verify what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you do here?
Doing a live debate is hard because, like you said, they can say anything they want. And they can change the story, modify the story, add on details that are just more bullshit coming through. And you really can't do it. It's an uphill battle that you cannot win. So,
no.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I like Bill Nye, but I didn't. I was torn when I heard about his debate with Ken Ham. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I really don't think it's a good idea because you're giving him a platform, and you're letting people listen to his ideas. And again, he can make up anything he wants, and you got to think about So, all right. Let's move on. What else we got here? What do you think needs to change in the world of education to recruit and retain teachers? Oh, look at the eyes closed. She's like, oh boy.
First, teacher pay.
Yes.
We have to address teacher pay.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm a teacher too.
Bob is a teacher. Yeah.
So I would love to know what he thinks, but in a city like Miami, you can't afford to live here. If you're a teacher, our teacher pay, we have, thankfully in Miami-Dade 5 years ago, the citizens of Miami-Dade passed a tax to make up for the loss that we had. But, and I know this is hard to believe, but a teacher in Miami-Dade County today with 20 years of experience is making less than a teacher 20 years ago with 20 years of experience.
Wow.
And I'm not talking inflation. 64,000 versus 57,000. 20 years ago, you were making $64,000 after 20 years. Wow. Today, you're making 57.
That's sad.
Yeah.
And my house has tripled in value.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Because this is Miami-Dade. Now the citizens of the county voted. It was a tax. It was only like 75 cents for each homeowner to make up for that. And they tacked a good amount onto our salaries. It runs out this year. We're voting again in November to extend it another 5 years. And that made up for that loss. So that's the first thing. Is that. The second thing is, I think I wish there were more teachers running education. Not everybody thinks they can teach. It's so easy. We've all been in the classroom. I would love to see more teachers themselves in positions of leadership. And I don't mean someone who's been in the classroom 3 years. I don't think you should be anywhere near a principal's office or working downtown if you haven't been teaching in the classroom at least 10 years.
Right.
Okay.
That's something else too. But I think teacher pay is first and foremost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, because if you can't make a decent living, if you can't even afford to live in the area that you're teaching, why would you even bother? You know, and go ahead.
Young people today, I think a lot of them see it as something they're going to do for 5 years and then they're going to move on. That career teacher that puts her heart and soul, I don't see them coming up the ranks. And I tell you what, I'd rather have had me as a teacher 5 years ago than 25 years ago. I look at my first group of kids and they missed out. They didn't get that teacher because I just wasn't that good at it.
Right.
That's it. I mean, it's something that comes with experience, like
Yes.
almost any job. But I mean, you're not only, and you touched on it in the beginning about all these topics that you have to cover that you are not an expert in, but you have to learn it. And I'm sure, like, are you sometimes like staying up at night reading and learning more?
I
just
used
to
to
keep up?
not
Okay.
so much anymore. The other thing is all the state testing.
Oh yeah.
It's killing us. It is absolutely killing us. And I just wish, I think instruction needs to drive assessment. Assessment shouldn't drive instruction.
Right.
And that's the other thing. Let teachers teach and get rid of all these very high stakes state tests.
So you're getting tested.
No,
Is that
I'm
what you
saying
said?
my
Oh.
students.
State. Okay. All right. The kids are
It's
okay.
extremely disruptive to the school year. Extremely disruptive.
Because you have to teach like a set curriculum for those tests.
Yeah, but then the tests, for example, we have 300 laptops and over 1,000 students, and the tests are online. So you can't teach all this. You can't test all the 7th graders on one day. You have to teach them through their homerooms, and then everybody else just has to sit in homeroom because you can't change classes because a lot of the kids are getting tested. So out of 35 kids, you might have only 27 because the other 7 are testing. So you can't move forward with those kids missing. So you're talking weeks of disruption.
Wow.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's horrible.
That really sucks, you know, and I agree.
Work and the kids they're so cute and they're tested to death.
Yeah.
So better pay. What was your second thing? Testing.
Yeah, the testing, not so much high stakes testing, state testing. That's another one.
I mean, this is good insight because I don't know any of this. Like, I don't know what teachers go through. I see the news. That's it. I see whatever's reported in the news. So I don't get to see this or hear about this. And it's I don't want to be a downer. It sounds depressing. Like this is.
It is. I'm in such a good school. I have the greatest kids. I have the greatest parents. Wonderful administration. I really am lucky. Really, really, really lucky. And I think that's another issue that I'm probably not touching upon because I don't have this issue, but discipline and parents. And let the teachers teach. You can't have a kid who's completely misbehaving. He gets sent to the office and he comes back with a bag of potato chips, you know, and the parents aren't backing up the teacher. Right. And another one, it's silly to you, but no cell phones in the classroom.
It's not silly to me. I totally agree.
So I completely, they're gone. In my school, they put them in their backpack when they get to school and they can't pull them out till they leave.
Wow.
And it is so much better and it is so much easier to teach because I am not as interesting as TikTok. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I think you are. I'm learning a lot tonight. I can't imagine because I mean I see some of the videos and we're in Philly, so I see really bad videos of kids just throwing things around and they have a temper tantrum.
I don't have that at all. I'm in a great school. I don't know how those teachers do it because at least you know my kids want to learn. They're silly. They're having fun. I couldn't imagine dealing with that on top of it.
Right. Yeah. All right. You got another question?
One more.
One more.
Oh man.
Yuriva, how can librarians, I made sure I said that right and not inserted my Philly accent in there. How can librarians, especially school librarians and media specialists, best help you and your fellow teachers teach critical thinking and skeptical topics?
We have Miami-Dade just passed something that every school needs to have a media center, a media specialist.
Okay.
Many schools haven't had one for years. We haven't had one for years. And so she's revamping the library and stuff.
What is a media specialist?
Well, we don't call them libraries anymore. We call them media centers because you have, in addition to the books, you have the computers and all the digital resources.
Now I feel old. I feel so old.
We're not media specialists.
It's all right.
I think what our library media specialist, actually, her name's Nicole, is going to start doing is she's going to rotate through the classes and she's going to teach basically the crap test, what we spoke about earlier. This is how you find credible sources. This is how you determine that it's not a credible source. Is it peer reviewed? Is it .org? Is it .com? That kind of thing. If a media specialist has a few really good lessons on that and rotates through the classrooms, that's golden.
Yeah.
It gives a teacher a chance to sit down, first of all, go to the bathroom, which is like a huge priority for me and many teachers, and teach what they're best at, what media specialists are best at.
Okay. So I guess, yeah. I mean, that's amazing. So if they could go through and just have a couple lessons, and I mean, that would be great for everyone, because not only are you figuring out good sources versus bad sources, but you're learning about sources, sources in general.
How to cite sources, everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important. I didn't know how to do that. When I started, the first time I started writing for Skeptical Inquirer, I had no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
I was never taught that in school. When they were like, yeah, you got to use this version of sources, and I was like, wait, there's different ways to cite sources? What? Let me look this up. Holy crap.
There's a great site for teachers and others called EasyBib, easybib.com. You watch one 30-second commercial, like a YouTube thing, and you put in your source, like you put in the Skeptical Help Bar with Kenny Biddle. I don't know if you have a .org or .com, and it cites your source for you, APA or MLA style.
Okay. Oh,
it's really awesome. I get all the kids on that, and I teach them how to use that. They also have on there to check for plagiarism.
That's important.
What I do to avoid that in my classroom is they have to write everything in first person. So if they're writing an alternative energy report on solar energy, it has to be, hi, my name is Solar Energy, and I come from the sun. Let me tell you how my solar panels work. And they have to put it all in first person. Okay. Otherwise, it is a plagiarism shit show.
Wow.
What I put in the comments, wow, you write for National Geographic and you're only 12 years old. I am so impressed. I hope they pay you. And some get the sarcasm.
Wow. Riva, hallelujah. The Philadelphia School District does not have a school librarian or specialist dedicated per school, and the children suffer for it.
Yeah, this is the first year Dade County's doing this, and they're giving every school some money to some of those books. I mean, they're termite-ridden books at this point, and they're really old books. They've been used a million times. So the librarians are getting money for new tables and chairs and books, and every school's getting funding for that. And I shouldn't say that because I'm not absolutely sure, but I'm pretty sure because we are, and my friends in other schools are. But I know that the media specialists, for sure, every school is getting one. And we're talking, this is the fourth largest school district. We're talking, oh God, I have no idea how many schools we have, but there's 250,000 students.
Wow. That's a lot. All right. So critical thinking, more, I love talking about that. We talked about a few tips. Citing sources is really important. Do you have any other tips that you can throw out there? Like, what can we do to one of the questions that I did have was, when should we start teaching that? When do you think we should start teaching kids critical thinking skills? Like, how early should we start?
It could be done really early, I think. The earlier, the better.
Yeah.
A great way to go there is, I think, and Melanie Tresick King has a great article in the last magazine, CFI magazine, about how to spot it, right? So the idea of getting people to understand how to spot the hoax before they're encountering the hoax. And that's what she's doing in that article when it comes to medicine and health and vitamins and things like that.
I think, the idea of teaching people or teaching kids how to think rather than what to think. That was my big problem growing up. And the more I've gotten into like the skeptical community and learned from everyone that's part of it, I look back at my schooling and said, wow, like I was always told, learn this. Like, these are the facts. These are the events that happen. You have to learn this, but never how to figure out something myself. Like book reports, do these book reports, do a report. I was never told or taught how to write it. He was just write up a book report or do a public speaking. Holy crap. I was horrible at that. I was so shy. I know. Now it's like all totally flipped. I don't know what happened. But I would do anything to get out of doing any kind of public speaking.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Even just getting up in front. I mean, our classes were probably about 25, 30 kids, and getting up in front of them and talking about anything. Like we talked about what we did over summer vacation. I couldn't do it. I mean, I would get up and start talking and freeze up. I would stutter.
How did this evolution, sorry to use that word, happen?
I think I discovered rum. No. I have no idea. I think I got, wow, I never really thought about it. I think it's just, I think with the whole paranormal thing, I started getting into that. And when I started hearing people do things wrong, and I knew better, like I knew I had information to back it up, I think I was getting frustrated. And I think that finally overwhelmed my shyness. And I was like, I got to say something.
Right.
And it was just the floodgates were open. Now I can't shut up. Now, now I just talk and talk and talk. So, wow. Yeah. All right. We're doing pretty good. I don't think there's any more questions. So if anyone has any last minute questions, get them in now. Otherwise, where can people find you? Where can people find more information? I have all the, I'm going to put up the banners, which have we have Young Skeptics here. We have Science Saves. And we also have Ties. So I'll put them all back in the chat room. But if people want to know more information about you and your work, where can they find you?
In a classroom in Miami-Dade County. Or walking my dogs around the block. I could give you my email.
Oh, I mean, if you don't have to, if you don't want hundreds of people emailing you.
Well, what I love getting workshops. So if someone has a school and they're interested in hosting a workshop for their science department, even if it's 3, 4, 5 people, we usually provide lunch or breakfast and all the free resources. And if at this point I have people in every area of the country. So I don't have to fly or travel or anything like that.
Would you? Like if you could, if you had.
I do, yes. I have one, like the full day workshops. I trust very few people to do a full day workshop. Okay. So I can train somebody in Iowa to do an hour, but a full day, I trust like 3 people, 4 people. and I know that they're putting down, it's a good product.
Right.
So yes, I do travel.
Okay. I love to travel. I mean, if I ever had the opportunity, I'll jump in a car, drive, I'll jump on a plane, and I love it. I love being able to travel to different places as long as I get an extra day to explore.
Yeah, next year I'll be more likely to do that. What I'm finding now in the last 7 years with this project is, I'm teaching Monday through Friday. I jump on a plane Friday night. I do a workshop Saturday, and I jump back on a plane Sunday, and I'm back in the classroom, 7 to 8 a.m. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So next year, my son's going off to college, and I will have more time to do stuff like that and travel around the country.
All right. We got one more question that popped up. Where can people buy that shirt?
Yes, we were talking about that. Andrew Hall is the guy. He's pretty awesome. Shout out to Andrew Hall. And he's got it on Teespring. Can I look that one up? Let me see.
Let's see. Andrew Hall. Professor? I don't know if I have the right one.
And go to Aspire to Be Less Wrong. How do I say that?
Wrong. Looking up stuff. I love doing this during the show. Look it up, trying to figure out Aspire, discovering your purpose. Wow, I don't know where I'm at.
Sounds a little spiritual.
I put Andrew Hall. Is it Hall?
Yes.
Okay. My first one was Joe Rogan came up. Elon Musk. What is Google doing to me?
Oh yeah, me too.
Wow. All right. We will figure this out.
See, that person needs my email because I will definitely plug his stuff. He's pretty cool. Andrew Hall. He uses StreamYard too, by the way.
Awesome. All right. So with that, you can keep looking. I'm going to do my announcements and get them out of the way. So let me see. There's not many. I don't have too much coming up. Let me see. Where are they? So Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, I do another show called Three Tortured Souls with Dave Schumacher, who's in the chat room, and Tim Vickers, who was in the chat room. I don't know if he's still there. Tomorrow, we're actually going to cover the Winchester Mystery House. Oh, wow. We're going to talk about the stories and then talk about the real stories behind the spooky stories and go from there. So hopefully that's going to be fun. And then let's see. Oh, tomorrow, Lucky Tiki Creations will be at Bolton Mansion in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Donna's going to be set up with her crafting booth.
From 11 to 4.
11 to 4.
And food trucks will be there.
Food trucks. There's also beer. That's why I go. I go help her set up, and then I wait for the beer truck to open, and I drink beer and have fun. So if you're in the area, Levittown, PA, come on out. I'll be hanging out there. Bolton Mansion has stories about being haunted. I don't think it is, but the nice people there do think it's haunted. So come on out, take a tour. And then the next thing I have is October 20th, the 23rd. I'll be in Las Vegas, Nevada for SciCon, and I'm looking forward to that. I will be on the big stage Friday. I'm going to be talking about how some skeptics and believers can work together, and just things that I do that help us all work together and get along so we can all be nice and have beers together. So that's it. That's all I'm doing. That's all I have coming up. With that, I want to thank you, Bertha, for coming on the show. I had a great time. I learned a lot. I got much more insight into teachers, and that a lot more has to be done for teachers. I mean, I really think they should flip all the sports professionals and give their salaries to the teachers, because teachers are people that are taking care of our kids. They're teaching our kids. They are literally creating our future. So I think you guys deserve so much more. So
There's
much.
a shortage. We need them.
Yeah, that sucks. All right. So with that, I'm not going to end on a downer. I think
No.
teachers are great. Teachers are awesome. Science rules. Had a great time. And I will see you guys next week. Yeah, it is my 100th show next week. I have no idea what I'm doing. Again, maybe there'll be something. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But with that, I'm going to set up my video and I'm going to say never stop learning. And I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.